Today is March the 3rd, and our wise teaching a day says, do not resent the differences between you and someone else. Do not resent the differences between you and someone else. This is the teaching of non-attachment and acceptance of others, regardless of our differences. We also want to be able to let go of our resentment and dislike of others, regardless of our differences. And in Buddhism, we're trying to develop understanding, compassion, and equanimity towards ourselves and others. If you don't have one of these Buddhist calendars, Wise Teaching a Day, they're free and they're on our table as you leave the temple. Today I would like to talk about equanimity. Equanimity can be understood as a state of mind that a person has. For the majority of people, I would say that our state of mind is constantly changing. It changes according to situations that we may experience. For example, a state of mind can be either calm or agitated. If we like and enjoy a situation, we might be calm and happy. But if we dislike a situation, we might be agitated and unhappy. In Buddhism, equanimity is the teaching of developing a balanced mind, especially when we experience challenges in our life. Not only is it when we experience challenges in our life, but also when conditions in our life change. Changing conditions can be favorable or unfavorable. And the Buddhist practice is to remain calm and controlled in either situation. And we may ask ourselves, remaining calm and controlled sounds nice, but it really is difficult to achieve. It is difficult because in order to remain calm and controlled, we are required to develop an attitude of non-attachment combined with an attitude of acceptance. Now, this attitude is for all of our experiences, both the pleasant and the unpleasant. The Buddhist view to practice equanimity is for the developing of inner peace as we navigate the ups and downs of life. We mentioned that equanimity consists of an attitude of non-attachment and acceptance. It also consists of understanding of interdependence with all beings and treating others with equality and compassion. An example of interdependence is thinking about the food we eat. So the interdependence, the food that we eat. We get our food from where? Most of us get it from a store. And the store gets the food from the transportation workers. Employees at the store unbox and display the food. The transportation workers might get the food from a farm. The farm has workers that harvest the crop. And the crop is nourished with sunlight and rain. Now this highlights the web of interdependence of our existence. You can just think about food and all of the connections that have to happen in order for us to get the food. Let's listen to a couple of examples to help us understand equanimity. One example is a well-known story of the bandit Angulimala. Angulimala was a bandit who terrorized a countryside. He wore a necklace made of fingers of his victims. And one day, Angulimala decided that today he was going to kill the Buddha because he saw the Buddha walking in the forest. The Buddha was alone on the path. And as Angulimala chased after him, the Buddha remained calm and continued walking at a steady pace. Despite Angulimala's efforts, he couldn't catch up to the Buddha, who was always just out of reach. Finally, out of breath and frustrated, Angulimala called out to the Buddha. "Stop," he said. The Buddha turned to him and spoke calmly. "Angulimala, I have stopped. It is you who must stop." These words struck Angulimala deeply, and he realized the pointless nature of his violent ways. He surrendered to the Buddha, renounced his past actions, and he became a disciple, eventually attaining enlightenment. Now, we may think, well, I don't know if I can remain calm if I was walking down the street and someone started chasing me and they looked very violent. How calm would I be? We may think that, well, it's a Buddha. We expect that from a Buddha. But for me, I might yell, scream, maybe I'll pick something up and try to fight off the person who's coming. But I don't think I would remain calm. But it's the thought and the story behind it, and having to be able to think of someone or something that remains calm that we can look towards to get inspiration. So this story shows equanimity in the face of danger and hostility. And although being chased by a violent bandit, the Buddha remained calm and controlled rather than responding with aggression. Now, you may think, do all Buddhas remain calm, controlled? We would think so. But bodhisattvas, if we think about bodhisattvas, they remain in the realm of samsara to teach and guide us so that we can reach nirvana, enlightenment, the Pure Land. And they do that in skillful ways. Sometimes they may do it in a way that we would think is contrary to what we would think they would do. Maybe they act in a certain way to get our attention or to do something. So we can think of maybe a Buddha would turn around and might show some aggression, but still would be doing it in a compassionate way and controlled and thoughtful. We could say that the Buddha's equanimity, his display of maintaining inner peace in such a difficult situation, not only saved his own life, but also transformed Angulimala's heart. So if we can find inner peace within ourselves and remain calm and controlled, even though we would find ourselves in such a difficult, violent situation, if we were able to remain calm and controlled and think our way out of it, we would probably do better than getting really upset, angered, and so feared. And we hear that if with fear, we either can't move or we run, right? Our fight or flight. Another example is the story of a wealthy merchant and the Buddha. There was a wealthy merchant who visited the Buddha often to seek guidance on spiritual matters. And although he had more than enough material wealth, the merchant struggled with feelings of anxiety and dissatisfaction. One day, the merchant visited the Buddha and said he was concerned about the uncertainty of life and the impermanence of worldly possessions. He asked the Buddha how to find lasting peace and contentment with the life's ups and downs. The Buddha listened to the merchant's concerns and then asked him to bring a handful of salt. The Buddha then instructed him to dissolve the salt in a cup of water and then taste it. After tasting the water, the merchant made a face of disgust at the saltiness. The Buddha then advised him to throw the water away and fetch another cup of water. This time, the Buddha instructed the merchant to pour the same amount of salt into the fresh cup of water. This time, when the merchant tasted the water, he found it to be much less salty. The Buddha explained, life's difficulties are like the salt in the water. They may not disappear completely. Let me say that. Life's difficulties are like the salt in water. They may not disappear completely, but through developing equanimity, you can develop a mind that is like the second cup of water, able to hold the salt without being overwhelmed by its taste. So the merchant grabbed the first salted water. Wasn't sure of what it was going to be like. And when he drank it, he had a face that was disgusted, showing he didn't like the saltiness. And more than likely, he spit it out rather than swallowing it. Now, the first time that he drank it, we can say that he was not accepting of the flavor that he experienced. He wasn't non-attached to it. He was attached to dislike. And he wasn't accepting. But after tasting it the first time, and then knowing what it was going to be like, the second time he tasted it, he was accepting. And there was non-attachment. He was able to hold it and experience it without that attachment. So for us, this story, one of the things it teaches us is that for us, we may be in situations or experiences that we are new to us. And it may be hard to be calm and controlled and accepting. However, we may have many experiences in our lives where we haven't quite let go of resentment or dislike, or we still have attachment to it, and we're not accepting. But over time, we can learn to become accepting of it, and over time, learn to be accepting of new experiences that happen in our lives. We must realize that life is a series of ups and downs for us. We can't control the experiences that we are going to encounter. We can control how we are going to react to them, but if we are attached so strongly to our likes and dislikes, we will never be accepting of the experiences, of all the experiences that we encounter. So equanimity is remaining calm and controlled and accepting of all the experiences that we encounter in life. So with the salted water, the Buddha I already read all that, so I don't want to bore you with it again, sorry. So this I wrote down, I'll just reread it. This story reminds us that by developing equanimity, we are able to face life's challenges with a better sense of control and inner peace. Who doesn't want that? I don't know anybody that doesn't want to be in control of their feelings and emotions and to have inner peace. I think if I woke up every day and I had inner peace, And I knew that the majority of things that are going to happen, I'm not going to be overwhelmed by, and I'll be able to accept it and just say, it's just something I need to accept and be comfortable with and work through if I don't like it, right? How much easier would my life be? And how much easier would I make lives for those of others? We need to understand that we will still experience difficulties in our life. Buddhism is not saying, I'm going to understand the teachings, and guess what? For me, because I'm a Buddhist, I'll never experience any difficulties again. That's not what Buddhism is saying. Buddhism is saying that life is continually, we are unavoidably attached to difficulties in life. But it's our mind and being control and calm and accepting that is going to help us deal with the ups and downs of life. So we need to understand that we will still experience difficulties, but with the practice of equanimity, we maintain a sense of well-being regardless of our experiences. Consider the compassion of Amida Buddha, the compassion of the vow to save all living beings. As Jodo Shinshu Buddhists, we develop an understanding of our self-centeredness and try to let go of our attachments and develop a state of mind that is calm and controlled and accepting of life's ups and downs. And we do this with the support by entrusting in Amida Buddha's vow to save all living beings. For Jodo Shinshu Buddhists, equanimity is developed and connected to our deep entrusting in the vow of compassion of Amida Buddha. Our deep entrusting in equanimity is developed in our practices such as reciting Amida's name, Namo Amida Butsu, reflecting on the virtues of Amida Buddha, virtues such as boundless compassion for all beings, boundless wisdom that sees the true nature of reality. Amida's vow is an expression of boundless love and kindness. There's patience and equanimity and unconditional acceptance. So these virtues are an inspiration for us, which guide us along the Buddhist path to happiness and aspiring to transcend the world of samsara. Being born in the Pure Land, guided by the wisdom as compassion of Amida Buddha's vow, I would like to end by sharing an experience I had the other day. It was Friday morning, and I had not yet sat down to gather my thoughts in preparation for Sunday's Dharma message. I knew I was going to talk about equanimity, and I had given it much thought all week. But that Friday morning, I found myself in Canadian Tire, and as I was in the self-serve checkout area, scanning my items for payment, I heard the dissatisfaction of a person beside me. The person was making grumbling noises and was complaining as they negotiated the self-serve area. And I could understand their frustration because the self-serve computers can be difficult and don't scan according to our wishes all the time. Now, as the person was complaining, I started to think about equanimity, the state of mind of remaining calm and controlled regardless of the situation. So this is a very realistic and simple situation for all of us. Then I heard the person say rather loudly and with frustration, "For the love of God." almost heard without the whole place, right? And I thought about the expression. I have heard it before, but never gave it much thought. I wasn't sure how the expression applied to the situation. As I sat there, I was like, wow, why is this person saying it? Like, it sort of made sense, but I wasn't quite sure, right? I had to look it up, and for the love of God is used when expressing anger and impatience. So the person was clearly angered and impatient. But I was thinking, did they say the expression to get help with getting through the self-serve checkout? Did they say it to get help with finding patience within themselves? Or just because they were angry and impatient, they had to express it? So this encounter is reminding me that the Buddhas and the Buddha Dharma are what guide us, and we have to put in an effort if we want to change. So the Buddhas only guide us, they point the way. We have to put in the effort. So this person who loudly expressed their frustration, if they were asking for the love of God to help them have more patience and understand acceptance, then that would be a great thing, right? Regardless of how we said it to ourselves or out loud. But if they remembered that, and the next time they were in the self-checkout and had equanimity, calmness and control and acceptance, then whatever was happening is just something that they have to work through. And rather than getting upset and frustrated, it would be much easier if they just said, okay, what do I got to do? Right. I got to press the button and ask for help, right? Because it's just not working, right? Much easier. So for us, the Buddhas and the Buddha Dharma point the way, and we have to put in the effort of hearing the teachings and applying it, engaging it. I'd like to thank you very much for listening to my Dharma message.